Your sales process is broken. And right now, it's forcing Dr. Ann Smith to spend her 47th minute on hold with an insurance company, fighting a prior authorization denial for a patient whose condition is actually worsening. This isn't a healthcare problem. This is a design problem. And the reason it's happening is the same reason your company is losing deals, burning out your team, and leaving money on the table. But what if the root cause of this failure and the key to fixing it is completely invisible to you? We're about to dissect this failure piece by piece and show you the blueprint to fix it. That phone call, that's the sound of a broken sales process. It's the friction that kills momentum. This video is for anyone who senses there's a massive invisible barrier between what you sell and the people who need it. And I want to be clear, we're not talking about better sales scripts or a new motivational poster for the break room. We're talking about a fundamental redesign of the system itself. So let me ask you two questions. What if I told you the single most powerful tool to fix this isn't a new CRM or customer relationship management software, but a simple diagram that acts like a CT scan for your business, revealing blockages that you never knew you had? And what if the key to unlocking exponential growth wasn't in your sales team's actions, but the backstage processes they and you don't even see? I've seen this exact pattern of hidden friction play out in a dozen industries. We're going to walk through a composite case study where a company faced this exact breakdown. By the end of this, you won't just understand why your process is broken, you'll have the designer's toolkit to start rebuilding it, turning your biggest point of friction into your greatest competitive advantage. The Norton Design Lab videos reflect my personal views, not those of my current or former employers. The case study is a composite of multiple examples. Individual results will definitely vary. Let's dive in. I'm Brad Norton, and this is Norton Design Lab. For too long, we've treated sales as an art of persuasion, a game of numbers. My mission is to reframe it as a science of design. Here we use design thinking to reimagine how companies go to market, focusing on what truly matters, creating elegant, frictionless experiences that build lasting trust and deliver superior outcomes. Today, we're deep in our customer-centric go-to-market pillar. You might be thinking this is just another talk about customer focus, but we're going to bypass the platitudes and get right into the engineering of it. We're going to move beyond the corporate speak of putting the customer first and actually show you the schematics for how to build a system that does it by default. We'll look at a real-world composite case, explore the foundational principles from a landmark book on design, and give you powerful diagnostic tools that will fundamentally change how you see your own business. That on-hold music for Dr. Smith was listening to? It's the anthem of modern business inefficiency. It's a problem so pervasive, so deeply embedded in our operations, that we've just accepted it as the cost of doing business. But why? Why do we build these elaborate, painful mazes for our customers and our own teams to navigate? In the U.S. healthcare system, especially for new specialty drugs, this isn't a minor annoyance. It's a full-blown crisis. A 2022 American Medical Association survey found that a staggering 94% of patients experience care delays due to prior authorization. The consequences are devastating. The same survey found that 79% of these patients report that these delays can lead them to abandoning their treatment altogether. For life-changing specialty therapies, treatment abandonment can lead to hospitalization, permanent disability, or even death. This happens because we design our processes from inside out. We optimize for our own departments, our own metrics, our own internal logic. The finance department minimizes financial risk. The legal department ensures compliance. The sales department tracks activities. Each is a logical, well-defined silo. But the customer doesn't experience your silos. They experience the chaotic, jarring journey between them. The legendary designer Tim Brown, in his book Change by Design, argues that the antidote is a radical shift in perspective, moving from a problem-solving mindset to a design-thinking mindset. To really grasp this shift, I highly recommend ordering a copy of Change by Design. Just a heads up, as an Amazon associate, I may earn from qualifying purchases if you use that link, which helps support this channel at no extra cost to you. This isn't about inefficiency. This is a fundamental flaw in how a company sees the world. It's a failure of empathy. And in a competitive market, a failure of empathy is a terminal diagnosis. So how does this inside-out design failure play out for a company that should be winning? I'll take us through a composite of many companies facing this exact challenge. In a case we'll call Katalyst Biopharmaceuticals, or Katalyst Biotech for short. Katalyst Biotech is a promising biotech startup. This was their moment, their first FDA-approved product, the culmination of a decade of research and hundreds of millions in investment. A breakthrough therapy with strong clinical benefits and a clear indication to treat a serious condition with significant unmet medical need. Getting a first drug to market is an incredible milestone that only a tiny percentage of biotechs ever achieve. They had done everything by the book. Hired a new 100-person sales force, built out marketing and managed care teams, and secured wholesale distribution. On paper, they were ready. But the real question was, is that enough? 6 months post-launch, the numbers were deeply troubling. On the surface, the launch looked like a success. Prescriptions for approved patient types were being written by top physicians, the exact key opinion leaders they needed to win over. But the problem wasn't getting the script written. It was what happened next. A huge percentage of those patients were never actually starting therapy. They were getting lost somewhere in the system, abandoning their treatment before it even began. Physician feedback was abysmal. They loved the drug's clinical data, but hated the administrative nightmare of prescribing it. The sales team was completely demoralized. Instead of acting as expert clinical educators, they were spending their days as glorified administrators chasing paperwork. The stakes were existential. For a startup with a single product, a failed launch isn't just a missed forecast. It's often the end of the company. They were on the verge of becoming another one-hit wonder that never even got to have that hit, fumbling a life-changing innovation, not because of bad science, but because of bad design. To fix their problem, Katalyst had to stop thinking like a pharmaceutical company and start thinking like a design firm. This required a new set of intellectual tools. Let's call it the designer's toolkit. And it has 3 essential layers. First, the underlying philosophy, design thinking. This isn't about aesthetics or making things pretty. It's a rigorous methodology for human-centered problem solving. Tim Brown defines it as the operating in 3 overlapping spaces. Immerse yourself in the user's world and find the real, often unarticulated problem. Generate, develop, and test a wide array of potential solutions. Chart a path to bring the best ideas to market. The engine that drives this entire process is empathy. Truly understanding the experience from the customer's perspective. Well, the best analogy I can think of to explain this is it's like training for a marathon versus competing for a Tough Mudder. Katalyst Biotech had spent years training for the marathon, the grueling, predictable, long-distance run of clinical trials and FDA approval. They had the endurance, the data, the form. But getting that drug from the prescription pad to the patient wasn't a marathon. It was a Tough Mudder, a chaotic, muddy obstacle course designed to break you. Their sales team was trained to run fast and run long, but they were being thrown into obstacles like the ice water plunge, the ice bath shock of a prior authorization denial, and the Block Ness monster, the immense collaborative effort needed to navigate payer reimbursements. They were trying to win an obstacle course race by just running faster. What they needed wasn't more training. They needed a map of the course and a new set of tools to conquer the obstacles. The second layer is diagnostic tooling. Empathy is great, but you need a way to map the complex reality of the user's journey. This is where our CT scan comes in, the service blueprint, a diagram that visualizes every single touchpoint and process. It has two critical zones separated by a line of visibility. Above the line is the front stage, everything the customer sees and interacts with. Below the line is the backstage, the invisible work that makes the front stage possible. The blueprint's power comes from mapping how backstage actions directly trigger front stage events. It makes the invisible visible. It shows you precisely where a backstage failure, like a clunky prior authorization submission system, causes a front stage catastrophe, like Dr. Ann Smith on hold for an hour. Finally, the third layer is the strategic goal. Fixing the process wasn't enough. Katalyst needed a new way to compete. Enter Alex Osterwald's The Invincible Company. Great organizations must become ambidextrous. Exploit the current model and explore the new ones. Katalyst was trying to, as they described it, exploit the traditional business of making and selling drugs. But their broken process created a massive vulnerability. The strategic goal shifted from just selling a product to designing a new superior service experience around it. These three tools work together. Design thinking is the mindset. The service blueprint is the diagnostic tool. And the business model reinvention process is the strategic outcome. So, armed with this new toolkit, how did Katalyst actually apply it? Well, the first step was map the chaos. A truly cross-functional team, sales, marketing, legal, medical, regulatory, plus patient advocacy voices were brought together to reveal the real-world experience. They locked themselves in a room with a massive whiteboard. They built an as-is service blueprint of the current patient-to-physician journey. Start with the customer actions. A physician diagnoses and selects therapy. Office submits prescription. The patient enters a black box of waiting. Next, front stage actions. For the doctor, a sales rep visit, a confusing proprietary web portal, a denial via fax machine. For the patient, a confusing call from a specialty pharmacy they've never heard of before. Then, a letter about a high copay. But the earth-shattering revelation came backstage. A nightmare of disconnected systems. The prescription first went to a central hub. A case manager manually verified patient benefits. A different system was used if the plan demanded prior authorization. Unfortunately, they experienced frequent denials and lengthy appeals. Simultaneously, another group handled the copay assistance search. Only then, coordination with a separate specialty pharmacy took place for shipping. The finished blueprint looked less like a process and more like a wiring diagram for a 1970s supercomputer. One field leader said, "For the first time, we saw the whole battlefield. The system itself was the enemy." With pain points exposed, the team moved to ideation. Build or buy. 18 to 24 months and millions to build, or partner with an existing solution. For Katalyst, buy was the right strategic choice. Speed, immediate expertise, capital efficiency, stop the bleeding, stabilize the launch. The radical design-led question, Instead of building another system, what if we partner with the industry-leading access platform offices already use and redesign our way of working around it? The challenge shifted from inventing technology to orchestrating a seamless human and digital service, partnering with a patient services organization providing a platform and outsourced expert help. A new coordinated way of working. The sales rep focuses on the clinical why. The partner's platform, already integrated, handles the automated how. The virtual field reimbursement manager, on-demand human expert for complex cases and denials, a true partner for the office staff. What happened when Katalyst shifted its way of working? Orchestrating sales technology partner and virtual field reimbursement managers, the results were transformative. Time to therapy, from prescription to first dose, dropped from 28 days to just 4 days. It's not magic, a new collaborative way of working. An EMR embedded platform using electronic prior authorization. Decisions were made in hours instead of weeks. Plus, virtual field reimbursement managers were there to clean submissions and navigate payer complexities. They redesigned the system to eliminate friction, not just push through it. Patient adherence, the holy grail, jumped by 35% in 1 year using PDC as the metric. Burden on doctors. 70% reduction in follow-up calls and administrative paperwork. For many key accounts, that's like freeing up one full-time employee. The qualitative outcomes mattered too. You don't just fix a process, you became a partner, said one of the clinics. Katalyst didn't just fix a process, they created a defensible competitive advantage. Not just selling a molecule, delivering a seamless, superior care experience. Explore created a powerful new way to exploit the core product, building a moat of goodwill and operational excellence around their company. You might be thinking, that's great for a biotech with a budget, but how does this apply to my software company or my consulting firm? The beauty of design principles is that they are universal. These tools scale from a Fortune 50 company to a team of 5. If you want to try this, 3 things are non-negotiable. Get a truly cross-functional team in the room. If the backstage people aren't there, your map will be a fantasy. Embrace unwavering optimism and tolerance for ambiguity. It'll be messy. Trust that the clarity will eventually emerge. Start with a single high-priority customer journey. Don't map the whole company. Go deep on one critical process. Some of the common pitfalls: overlooking customer actions. Start with the customer steps, and don't let the blueprint gather dust. Make it a living document for identifying opportunities, prioritizing projects, and tracking progress. This doesn't have to cost a fortune. A whiteboard with sticky notes and maybe a few focused hours is where you start. The primary investment is collaborative thinking, making ideas tangible and testable, quickly and cheaply. Today we saw how a broken inside-out process creates massive friction that can cripple even the best products. And we saw how a design-led approach helped Katalyst Biotech transform friction into flow. They used the philosophy of design thinking, the diagnostic power of the service blueprint, and the strategic muscle of business model reinvention to turn customer experiences into a competitive weapon. If you're feeling the pain of a broken process, stop looking for a bigger hammer and start looking for a better blueprint. Stop asking your team to run faster through the maze and start redesigning the maze. This isn't just about making things easier, it's about redesigning the way you deliver value. If this idea of sales and operations as a design discipline resonates, Hit the subscribe button, please, and the bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. Share this with a colleague in operations, customer service, or marketing. You might just start a revolution. The big question for the comments: what is the single biggest point of friction in your company's sales service process? Be specific. Let's build a community of practice. I'll be reading every single comment that you write. Connect with me on LinkedIn. My link is in the description below. To make this real, here are 3 things you can do first thing Monday morning to start thinking like a designer. First, the empathy audit. Pick one customer. Find their last 5 interactions. Look at them in sequence. What does their story feel like from their side of the screen? Second, the backstage coffee. Take a colleague from a completely different department. Ask, what internal process wastes the most time? Then just listen. Third, the napkin synthesis. On the left, customer friction. On the right, internal headache. Draw a line between them. That connection is where your next great idea is hiding. Now try these out, please. Then come back and post your biggest aha moment in the comments. I'll be looking for them. Thanks so much for watching. Keep innovating, stay curious, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next one. How many times have you deleted a spreadsheet only to realize you need it? Well, I just did that with the entire video that I just recorded. This goes into the bloopers. Okay.